Hey man, they want us back in the office. I guess some corporate hotshots here to talk to us. I don't know what's going on.
Let me have your attention. Let me have your attention for a moment. You talk about what? You talk about that sale you shot? Some son of a bitch that doesn't want to buy? Doesn't want what you're selling? Well, let's talk about something important. Are they all here? Doesn't matter. I'm going anyway. Let's talk about something important. Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. You think I'm fucking with you? I'm not fucking with you. I'm here from downtown. I'm here from Mitch and Murray. I am here on a mission of mercy. And your name's Levine, right? You call yourself a salesman, you son of a bitch? Well, the good news is, for all of you, the good news is you're fired. The bad news is you all have 1 week to regain your jobs. Starting tonight. Starting with tonight's sits. Oh. Do I have your attention now? Good. Because we're adding something a little bit to this month's sales contest. First prize, as you know, is a Cadillac Eldorado. Anybody want to see second prize? It's a set of steak knives. Third prize is you're fired. You get the picture? You laughing now? You got leads. Mitch and Murray pay good money for those leads. Get their names to sell them. Because if you can't close the leads you're given, you can't close shit. You are shit. Hit the bricks, pal, because you're going out. Oh. The lead's a week. I hear you. The lead's a week. The lead's a week. The fucking lead's a week. The lead's a week? No, fuck you. You're weak. I've been in this business 15 years. What's my name? Fuck you. That's my name. And your name is you're wanting. But you can't play in a man's game. You can't close. Go home. Tell your wife your troubles. Because there's only one thing in this life that counts. Get them to sign on the line that is dotted. You hear me, you fucking idiots? A, B, C. A always, B, B, C closing. Always be closing. Always be closing. AIDA. Attention, interest, decision, action. Attention. Do I have your attention? Interest. I know I have your interest because it's fuck or walk. Decision. Have you made your decision for Christ? Action. AIDA. I can go out there with the materials you got tonight and make $9,000. Can you? Can you? I made $975,000 last year. How much did you make? You want to work here? Simple. You close. Good person? I don't give a shit. Great father? Fuck you. Go home, play with your kids. You got to close. Because you think this is abuse? Huh? You fucking cocksuckers? You think this is abuse? Imagine the abuse you would get out there on a sit. Yeah, I can close anything, anyway, anytime. suggest you do likewise, gentlemen, because otherwise I don't have sympathy for you. You go out there tonight on those sits and you close. AIDA. Get mad. Close. Otherwise, I just can't help you. You'd be sitting around in a bar with all the other losers, sitting around going, I used to be a salesman. Tough racket. Yes, the reason I'm here is because Mitch and Murray asked me to be here. They asked me for a favor. I said the real favor would to be firing your asses because a loser is always a loser. Now you've seen my face. Now you know who's behind this. I hope you know that I will. ABC. That's right, bananas 00. ABC. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Time to Go Indie Now, your 39th episode. Thank you so much for supporting the show, for sharing it out there on social media, for liking it, commenting. We appreciate all of that, and please continue to do so. Please like the video, comment on it, ask us questions about things you saw here, or give us feedback on what you saw, and we will definitely answer every comment that we could possibly answer. So please put it out there. We'd love to hear from you. You're even inclined to answer the question behind me if you can see it. I'm here in the headquarters with my brand new Go Indie Now t-shirt, pretty snazzy. I also got my brand new Go Indie Now coffee mug. Look at that sucker. I'm going to do a little Vanna White for you. Take a little sip. It's got fresh coffee in it. Yeah, look at that. This is our brand new logo, designed by Reveal Designs, Con Lavery. Con was so gracious to help me out and put something together, and I really appreciate it. So go check out what he's doing, and if you need some graphics, please go check him out because he's worth it every penny, and he did a fantastic job. This is the classic logo that I'm wearing, and you can get the mug in either the classic or the new logo. You can also get the t-shirts in the new logo or the classic logo. Totally up to you. Lots of different colors, lots of different designs. So it's not just t-shirts. We've got hoodies. We've got tank tops. We've got tote bags. There's keychains. There's even onesies. So put your baby in some Go Indie Now swag. How about that? And if you do happen to make a purchase at our store and just post on social media to fly the flag for us. Post it on social media, whether it's a reveal, whether it's you wearing it. Just post it on there and we'll retweet it and send it to the masses out there. And thank you so much for contributing and being a part of our community here. And we really, really appreciate it. Well, we have an awesome show for you. We, however, are going to be missing a key component to our show for this episode. JD Estrada could not join us for this particular episode, and he's going to be greatly missed, but not to worry. He'll be back next episode, and we have a substitute in the meantime for that. Kind of be honest a little bit, I'm not quite sure about this guy, but we gave it a try. What are you going to do, right? I mean, well, here, let's do this. I will play, I'll put his review right up front here so you can take a look at it and judge for yourself. And then see the rest of the great show that we have for you. And then I'll be back at the end, everybody. All right, here we go. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking to yourself, how is it possible that the very, very handsome J.D. Estrada got even more handsome in 1 month's time? Well, that's because you're not looking at J.D. Estrada. Secret's out. Yeah, no. I am Joe Compton, and thank you for joining us here on the Indie Music Review segment. J.D. Estrada is in his homeland, enjoying some time with his family and taking part in the Puerto Rico Comic-Con. So I took it upon myself this month to do the Indie Music Review. So for this episode's Indie Review, we're going to be talking about a punk rock legend. But first, let me just say, as I hold up my Guinness here, this is a nice room temperature Guinness, the only way to drink Guinness, in my humble opinion, to celebrate punk rock. I thought of nothing more appropriate than Guinness. And this gives me my opportunity to say cheers to Mama Estrada. Thank you for giving us JD, and thank you for being the strong, awesome woman that you are. Cheers. Oh yeah, room temperature Guinness, nothing like it. So, this episode, we're going to talk about, like I said, a punk rock legend. If you've seen Natural Born Killers, you'll recognize this band, and if you haven't, you'll probably recognize them from MTV days. They're an all-female band, and it is hip to be square because, ladies and gentlemen, I give you L7. This is their brand new album, Scatter the Rats, and we're going to talk about it here, right now, on the Indie Music Review. Obviously tell that's a classic L7 riff, and the whispering, raspy voice of the one and only Denita Sparks, and is right off the bat goes right into like they had never been gone. And yes, you're gonna get exactly what L7 gives you, which is a kick in the pants, some strong lyrical content, and some very, very interesting music compositions. With a strong guitar and a very, very cool bass drum. This is L7 in a nutshell. There's no secrets with L7. L7 is the band that they are, and they've luckily found their voice and their sound, and they've stuck with it. They've strayed over the years and tried some things and experimented, and quite frankly, personally, my favorite album of theirs is probably their most experimental, and that, Hungry for Stink, I should say. They are so incredibly talented musicians, and they are also, which is cool about this album is they've released it on an independent label called the Blackhearts. And yes, that is Joan Jett, the legendary Hall of Fame rock star, and her manager, longtime friend Kenny Laguna, who formed this label. A label of their own, and they brought L7 aboard and got L7 to do a brand new album. This is their 6th album, so they haven't put out an album in 20 years. That's amazing to think that Scatter the Rats is that album. With L7, typically you're going to get one kind of chord with one kind of sound, and you know the first few songs you hear, that the song you're hearing is Burn Baby. You also have Fighting the Crave, Prototype. Those are all songs that are going to sound a lot like L7. Even Stadium West, to a certain point, which here we'll play that right now. Starts off with an L7 kind of groove. This is very L7-ish. But the interesting thing is it gets really poppy with the lyrical arrangement. With that little guitar there, if you can hear it a little bit. And it lends itself to being very interesting and very intricate and different. She's singing in a higher register, and that kind of makes it a little bit more poppy. And following up that song is a more of like a Leonard Cohen-ish kind of travel song, traveling blues kind of tempo, and then L7 kicks in. And this is a very cool song. This lyrically, it's probably one of the best songs of the album. This is called Murky Water Cafe. And then you get into a more up-tempo song like Up in the Ice, which is my favorite song on this album. And it's a little stronger, it's a little bit more of a punk vibe, but it starts with a different way to start with the bass drum and the kick drum and really pushing that aggressiveness. This is a really, really great song. It's got a catchy riff, as you can tell. Lyrically, it's not one of their strongest efforts, as you can probably tell from the first few minutes, but it is one of those songs that just has got that anthem-ish kind of feel to it. And L7's all about anthems, from Fast and Frightening to Pretend That We're Dead, to Andre. These are all L7 staples that they play. I'm sure they play live constantly. It's great to see L7 back, because I think what's really interesting about L7 is how they transcend and kind of teeter as they do on the punk to metal to rock to even like songs like Murky Water Cafe, where they have that kind of road vibe, that kind of interesting Leonard Cohen, Bob Dylan kind of feel to them, with a lot of electric guitar behind it. It's more like a Tom Waits almost in that respect. And so L7 really has been diversive in even their approach, even though a lot of what you're hearing is very similar in tone and style and aggressiveness. L7 is very aggressive. Four ladies that really just know how to rock, and they do it so well, and they've done it so well for decades. So September 1st, 1990 is when L7 jumped on the scene. Still, though, that is a long time to be doing what they're doing. And L7 is that band. They're that band that you just can't help but bang your head, put up the horns. They never disappoint with that fact. Where they come up short is musically, it does kind of blend. It's kind of like, liking AC/DC, right? Liking AC/DC is kind of like liking L7, in the fact that AC/DC kind of always sounds the same. They change up the arrangements, they change up the rhythm. L7 is a little bit more of a departure even than that, because they do have the kind of cross-genre songs like Murky Water Cafe and Prototype, and the more popular songs that they put on here. And they do go a little poppier on this album than they have in previous albums. So there is a little bit of a slowdown in that effect, but really, it's like they never left. If this was their debut album in 1990, it would have knocked everybody's socks off. And that's the power of L7. That's what L7 brings to the table each and every time. I'm really looking forward to seeing them live. I've never had that opportunity, so it's going to be amazing if I get the chance to see them live on the Bash Festival. I'll be real excited about that. That's one show I'm really, really looking forward to. And they just bring it, and they've constantly brought it. This is amazing musicianship. They haven't lost a beat in that respect, and like I said, it's good road music, so go check it out. And to JD, thank you, my friend, for letting me hijack your segment for one episode. I really appreciate it. And cheers, Mama Estrada. Cheers, JD. Cheers to everybody. Peace, love, and Maki rules.
Hey guys, CL Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another marketing tip. Today I want to talk about consistent author branding. And what brings us up is, you guys probably know that I do a lot of group author builders. And almost every single time I have to hunt someone down, like a detective or something, to figure out, what name to tag them as and where their profile is. Because they've either entered it wrong or they've used some name that's not connected. And it's really hard to find these people and takes a lot of extra time. So if it's frustrating for me as a service provider, I'm sure it's frustrating for fans when they're trying to find you. So one thing that I see a lot of authors do is they will make a series page for each book that they are doing. And while this can work for some people, I always am of the philosophy that it's better to just have one author page with your name on it and to post about all your work there, unless you have something like a pen name that is a very different genre or something like that. But if you're writing all your books under the same name, then it's best just to have one author page. The same goes for websites. Some people make multiple websites and you're just having to drive traffic to multiple different places when you could drive it all to one place and have it seen by more people more consistently. Another thing I see is people with weird names on social media that were probably part of your personal profile that you had on Twitter or Instagram or something. But if you're going to be using it for business purposes, you need to try to brand it. Because I used to have one, and this will probably make a lot of you laugh. I used to have all of my profiles under Miss Big Bad, and there have been many jokes about this over the years. One of my best friends thought that it was a porn site sending something to her stepdad at first, but it's all from Buffy. If you're a fan of Buffy, and you know that Spike used to call himself the Big Bad. And so I loved Spike, so I wanted to be Miss Big Bad. And, being 16 at the time, I didn't really think anything of that name because I was a sheltered little innocent child. And a name that has nothing to do with your author profile, people aren't going to be able to find you. Nobody's going to be able to say, oh yeah, CL Cannon, I loved her book, let me go find her under Miss Big Bad. Nobody thinks to look there. So when I started my author journey, I actually made a new Twitter account and it's at CL Cannon author, because CL Cannon was already taken, but author kind of defines it anyway. So try to make all of your branding consistent. If you're on Twitter at your name author, on Instagram at your name author, instead of Miss Tutti Frutti 5437, they're not going to be able to connect that to you as an author. Even if you do link it other places, it's a missed opportunity is what I want to call it. Because if somebody's looking for you by your name, the best way to find you is if you have a consistent branding going on all of your platforms, on social media, on your website. Not having 20,000 pages that they can go to under different names, especially book names, because titles are not, a lot of titles are the same or similar, but your author name is usually pretty unique to you. Most people try to make their pen name or their regular name unique in some way that they can, look at your picture, look at the book, and recognize that it's you. So basically that's what I want to tell you about for this marketing tip, is trying to be consistent with your branding on all forms of social media, on your websites, and anywhere that you're going to be talking. You wouldn't go, for example, in real life, you wouldn't go to an author convention And instead of putting your name up there on your author banner, you wouldn't put Miss Tutti Frutti 3457, would you? No, you'd put your author name, because that's how people recognize you. That's how people know your work. So keep this in mind. I know some people, oh, it's a pain to have to manage more than one Twitter or Instagram. Well, you can always combine those, but put them under your author name if you just don't have the time. I pretty much kind of abandoned my Miss Big Bad Twitter. It was full of all kinds of fan reactions to TV shows and oogling over Ian Somerhalder, and Lost, tears over Lost when it ended and things like that. It was all stuff that was personal, but it was not really appropriate for my author profile. So, maybe axe some of that old stuff. I know it's hard to get rid of things sometimes, but if you're trying to be a successful author, you need to have all your branding being consistent. So that's the point for this month. I hope it's helped you. If you have any questions, as always, you can email me at info@fiction-atlas.com, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. You can also message me on Facebook. All right, bye.
I need a hero. I need a hero till the... Nah, villains are much, much more interesting. G'day Dark Realmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliot here with you again today, and this month we're talking villains, okay? Now, villains. Well, Batman has his Joker, Sherlock Holmes has his Moriarty, Luke Skywalker has his Darth Vader, the Doctor, as in Doctor Who, has his Master, Van Helsing has his Dracula. Yeah, so why are these villains so popular, and why have they stood this test of time? Some of them have been around for over 100 years, and the Joker himself has been with Batman, or Batman's thorn in his side, for over 80. It's a number of reasons, Dark Realmers. And what I thought I'd do this month, if you're planning on writing a short story, a novel, a screenplay that involves a villain, I thought I'd help you out a little bit with the elements that make up a good villain. Okay, one of the first things a good villain needs is motivation. Now, that might sound like, duh, yeah, I understand that. But the motivation has to be something that is perhaps a little way out for us as a reader or a movie viewer, but is perfectly logical within the mind of the villain. Now, for example, the Joker, his raison d'etre is to get Batman to notice him, okay? Despite the horrible things he does, he can't survive without Batman. He needs the attention, okay? Dracula is basically wants to ensure that, well, one of the reasons to ensure the survival of vampires by creating more, and also ensuring his own survival. In the case of Doctor Who, the Master is simply his antithesis, where the Doctor goes and tries to solve problems and help people. The Master enjoys, dominating worlds and creating chaos. In the case of Sherlock Holmes, Moriarty is constantly trying to prove that he is the better detective, that not so much a detective, but he has more skills. He is much smarter than Sherlock Holmes. So his plots, his plans are all designed to trip up Sherlock. Now, these motivations, while, as I said, they may appear strange to us, are perfectly normal for the villains in question. And when you create a villain, you need to make sure that their motivation is spelled out, okay? Even if we don't agree with it, we need to understand behind. You know, we don't want a villain who just goes around and kills people. Why? Why does he kill people? What is his motivation? Is it revenge? Or she, I should say, she too, villains, great villainesses. Is it loneliness? Is it betrayal? Is it attacks on society? Think of Kevin Spacey in Seven, okay? He was so disgusted by society that he couldn't interact with it, okay? That was his motivation. His motivation was to show the 7 deadly sins, okay? So that gives you an idea. Now let's talk yin and yang. Okay, now you all know that yin and yang is two equal but opposite sides of the same thing. Light and dark, sun and moon, life and death. Okay, but in the taji, the little symbol that represents yin and yang, have you noticed that in the black side there's a white dot, and vice versa, and that's to indicate that not everything is pure black and white. There's a little bit of evil in the good side, there's a little bit of goodness in the dark side, and that is something you should really follow when you're creating your villain, because a villain that is pure evil, that just hasn't got anything that we can relate to, quickly becomes boring. Now, think of Hannibal Lecter, okay? Now, apart from the fact that he ate people, he was very urbane, he loved high culture, but what was the one thing that made him a little bit more human, a little bit more relatable to us as readers, if you've read the Thomas Harris novels or Anthony Hopkins? It was his sense of politeness, okay? He had certain morals which sort of went against the grain, that he could kill people, but, calling someone with, just out of the blue, or, not acknowledging someone and saying goodbye. These were all, no, social, no, we don't do that, no. And Jodie Foster said that in the movie himself. No, he wouldn't do that. It goes against his sense of politeness. So we need to create villains that in some way we can relate to and make them a little bit more human. For example, you could make your villain, he's got no, or she has no problems, slaughtering people, but anyone who he finds being cruel to animals, he, or she will be morally outraged. You may find that making your villain enjoy flowers or loves creating beauty in his garden, totally opposite to his bloodthirsty needs or wants or desires, okay? So those sort of things can help create and make a memorable villain. Now, that's not everything, of course. By the same token, you need here to touch on your heroes. Now, where humanising villains works, also villainising heroes works, because let's face it, when we have a hero who is so perfect and so good, it's boring. And why is that? Because we're not perfect, okay? We might be nice people, but we're not perfect. A hero who never loses his temper, who never lashes out in anger, who always can see the other side of the argument, becomes very, very boring, because they don't have foibles, and we all have foibles, and we need those to relate to our heroes, okay? And you've seen, how this is done to illustrate this point in silent movies, where you had the villain, and he was top hat, mustache, cape, tying the villainess to the railway, and along comes the hero, all in white with the glittering teeth, and And this was done to some extent in the wonderful movie The Great Race, starring Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, and they perfectly portray villains and heroes taken to that absurd level, where they were so wonderful and nice and charming, or so villainous that they became comic characters. Okay, so just when you're creating your villains, Dark Realmers, okay, or you're just thinking about creating a villain, remember those points I've just mentioned, and you will. Now, I'm not saying you'll make the perfect villain, I'm not saying you'll come up with the next Hannibal Lecter, but that will help you create a more memorable villain, someone that people can relate to, and someone that hopefully, if it's a dark villain like from my Dark Realms, that will chill them out even further. So until next month, this is Michael J. Elliot saying, have a nice month.
You know, we're not together anymore. We're signing divorce papers next week.
No.
Where are you going?
I just have to take a little adventure by myself.
Why?
Because when people get divorced, they need to find themselves again.
Damn it. Bike needs a new part.
What are you gonna do?
See if my dad can come get me.
You gonna ride to your dad's?
So you're proposing that we play divorced couples truth or dare.
The rule is you can't say no.
What if you pick something and I don't do it?
Then the game is over and you're a loser.
I hate losing. The game starts now.
Each day, I pick one thing and you pick one thing that we can do.
Let's let these games begin.
It can also be anything that you always wanted to do with one another, but maybe never asked. People jump off this bridge all the time, right?
Only live once!
Someone gets hurt.
Most people about to get divorced don't do the things you two seem to be doing.
It's complicated, Dad. So how are we gonna pick the girl?
What girl?
The girl for the three-way.
I never said anything about there being a girl.
Whatever you guys need, I'm here for you. So last night,
I don't want to talk about it.
I think we're on this earth to experience love.
Is that it?
Yep.
Hello, my name is Thomas Anthony Lay. I am the creator and author of the Naisis universe, the first book being The Age of Reckoning Volume 1, which is out now. You can find out more details through my website, www.naisis.com. That's Naisus.com. I'm going to do a reading now for you from the prologue from The Age of Reckoning Volume 1. Wisps of smoke from a burning candle danced up the stone wall. The excited whispers and low chortles of 4 children brought warmth to this otherwise cold castle bedroom. Prince Arith lay in his bed beside 2 of his 3 younger sisters, a thick duvet pulled up to their necks. Can we have one story before sleep, Father? King Arthur III smiled at the three children in bed and looked at his youngest resting on his hip, nestled in his arm. What do you think, Anya? The 2-year-old beamed and nodded. Very well, my children. The king placed Anya on the bed with her siblings and strolled to an old chipped bookcase shunted against the far wall. He squat and scanned the books, running his finger along their spines and mumbling their titles. Aha! He grabbed a book and, without revealing its title, turned to the children. The light from the 2 full moons glinted off his deep jade eyes as he grinned. The children gazed at him expectantly, their faces alight with anticipation. Their father took his seat on the bed and opened the thick volume. A brief history of Nisus, started over 1,000 solar cycles ago by our ancestor, King Arthur I, and refined, abridged, translated, and filled in by the countless kings that followed. The children clapped, then nestled into the prince's bed, ready to hear the story. King Arthur III cleared his throat and began to read. In the beginning, the divine entity, Nais, created and breathed life into 6 Yultar to create and preside over a small world they came to call Nisus. The king's eyes flitted between the pages of the book and his children, and a loving smile was sure to follow each time. These godlike beings, each having their own unique powers and tasks, had all agreed to create a utopia to serve as home to the organisms they would later bring to life. First, there was MIIKE, the goddess of light. She was responsible for bathing Nisus in a radiant, warm light by creating a perfect star lost among the countless others. Dion, the god of darkness, created the moons to stabilize the rotation of the newly formed planet and add beauty to the otherwise plain, speckled blackness of the night. Tur shaped the land with his skilled hands, crafting the mountains and valleys, the canyons and the cliffs, and the mighty volcanoes. This god of land was sure to create a vast difference in raised land and lowlands to allow the goddess of water, Bui, to fill the lowlands with beautiful globe-spanning oceans. These 2 Yultar worked side by side to create a flourishing environment ready for Gol, the god of life, to fill it with his living creations, from the tallest twisting triash trees to the smallest of organisms, all ready to begin thriving and evolving in this beautiful world. Nais marvelled at this land and blessed it with the gift of time before the goddess of death, Knas, took it upon herself to take care of all of the souls who had come to the end of their living life and were ready to pass over into the next life. Evelyn, the king's second eldest child, spoke up. So, is this what happens when people die, Father? Yes, my sweet. The great Yultar Knas looks after our souls, transporting them to the afterlife. We need not fear it. Evelyn's younger sister, Eleanor, folded her arms. Well, I don't fear it. I bet Knas is a beautiful lady who looks after us like Lissy does. The king laughed, a deep, infectious laugh. I bet she is. He continued, running his index finger down the page. Nais forbade the Yultar to have any direct interaction with their land, and so, obeying the request of their creator, each embodied a small piece of their power into a shard. When combined, the 6 shards created the Yultar crystal, the possessor of which would have the ability to bend the world to their will, harnessing the power of the Yultar themselves. This crystal was bestowed unto the land only to be discovered by the purest of heart when the time was right. Upon its discovery, the bearer would know its purpose by gazing into its infinite beauty and listening closely to the whispers of the Yultar contained within. Thank you. Thank you for listening. That was the prologue of The Age of Reckoning, Volume 1 of the Nisus universe. If you'd like to read on, then you can head to my website, www.naisus.com, Naisus, and there is all the relevant links to purchase the book. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is J.K. Allen, and I'm here to read you a little excerpt from Heaven Fire, which is my second novel in the Angelborn series. So let's get started. Ginny woke up early to go to the keeper's house. A cool breeze blew in through her window, filling her room with the natural scent of the just-watered grove. It didn't smell particularly of olives, which surprised her, but more of the trees and the leaves and the dirt they grew in. It was a pleasant way to start the day, if only today were pleasant. She showered quickly and got ready, full of nervous energy. After all, Jacob was after the same thing they were, and who knew where in the world he was at the moment. He could even be there in the same town now. She shivered at the thought. Braiding her hair down her back, she smiled anxiously at her reflection. Her eyes were a somber brown, her face serious. She shook her head to clear it and got up. It was time to find Aiden. Knocking on Aiden's door, a knot formed in her stomach, and a sinking feeling filled her. She tried to ignore it and smiled when Aiden answered the door, fully dressed. "Let's go get that tome," he said, zipping up his hoodie. They made their way down to the kitchen for some coffee and to look for Asa. He was already there making eggs. Next to him on the counter were some breakfast meats and tea. "Good morning. Breakfast will be ready shortly," he said too brightly. "We really should get to the keeper's house," Aiden said, pouring a cup of aromatic coffee. He handed it to Ginny, who took a sip before pouring one of his own. "Breakfast is important," Asa chided, plating the eggs. Aiden rolled his eyes at Ginny, but kept his mouth shut. "Aiden's right," Ginny began. "This is really important. We have to get there. We need to leave now." She put her cup down on the counter and gave him a pleading look. Asa frowned. "I am not going without breakfast. You are both in too much of a hurry." "Then tell us where it is and we'll go ourselves," Aiden said, putting down his cup and sloshing coffee in his hand. He reached for a napkin, silently cursing. Asa shook his head and frowned. "That is dangerous. You should not go out in the city alone." "We're equipped to handle it. We are the Alliance, after all," Aiden insisted. Asa studied them for a moment, then smiled. "It is on a trail on Mount Hermon," he said. Then he gave them directions and placed the pan in the sink. Ginny couldn't shake the unease she felt as Aiden took down the instructions on his phone. They left in a huff, and the knot in Ginny's stomach grew. Once again, they were on their own, walking into an unknown situation where Jacob could be waiting anywhere. "Maybe we should go with Ezra," she said as they walked towards the bus stop. The sun was pale in the light-colored sky. Everything was washed out and unfamiliar. Aiden sped up his steps, and Ginny rushed to keep up. "There's no time to wait. We should have done this yesterday." "I know, and you're not wrong, but this doesn't feel right." He sighed. "You're worried about Jacob, aren't you?" "Well, I can't control my powers yet. If we run into him, I don't know that I can help you for sure." She bit her lip. He shrugged. "I've got my knives. I'm not worried about him." Ginny nodded and swallowed. She worried. Jacob wasn't something to be taken lightly. They had to get to the keeper before he did. "Does this keeper live in a church at least?" she asked, running her fingers through her hair. Once again, she noticed the way most of the women around them covered theirs. Some keepers lived in churches because of the blessed grounds protected them from demons. "No, I don't think so," he replied, rubbing his neck while the bus lurched to a stop in front of them. They got on, and Ginny sat upright and still next to Aiden, trying to take up as little space as possible. She couldn't shake her nerves, palms clammy and legs shaking up and down. The sounds of people talking around her, which the day before had sounded lilting and musical, just made her feel left out, excluded. She was a stranger in this part of the world, and she felt it keenly now. It felt like everyone was staring at them and whispering. "Or stop," Aiden leaned over to say in her ear. He pulled the cord next to her, and they both rose, Ginny clutching at the hem of her shirt as the bus swayed to a stop. They got off, the sun traveling higher in the sky above them. They had to walk a while to get to the trail leading up to the mountain. Ginny wiped the sweat from her brow. Now that they were out in the morning sun and walking, she was warm. Aiden had told her Mount Hermon was where the burned ones had made their promise to disobey God, which had led to them being chained in Tartarus. She recalled the transformation of Shemiazaz from the blonde glory of the angel to the scaled gray form of the first greater demon. His black talons that raked against the stone walls that trapped him, the ebony chains of darkness that snaked around his neck. Shaking the mental picture away, she focused on what was in front of her instead. The trail wound along before they saw a mile marker sign marked with what looked like butterfly wings. The marker indicated it was 2 miles away. So this was an excerpt from Heaven Fire, which, like I said, is book 2 in the Angelborn series. So in the Angel Born series, we have Jenny Gracehurst, who thinks she's a normal teen until she gets a strange bruise that won't fade and starts having strange dreams. So she finds out she's angel born, which means she is half angel, and along with that comes some unknown powers to her, and she gets thrust into the secret world of the Alliance and demons and angels, and has to kind of figure out who she is. So in book 2, we have her going on another mission with Aiden to halfway across the world. So I hope you enjoyed this excerpt, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey everybody, this is Richard White, and I just wanted to share with you my new book and all of my good stuff. First of all, you can find me everywhere on the web, author Richard White. You can find my books at Amazon.com currently, as well as my website. You can find me on Goodreads. Just look for author Richard White, mostly everywhere. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, so on and so forth. Under Twitter, I am R. White Author. Anyways, down to sharing my brand new book. But I want to share with you a couple of poems out of Shattered Glass. But before I do, I want to share a couple of little cool things. One of the poems in my book, which I'm going to read for this reading, is My Compass. And included in the purchase of my swag, I'm actually giving away a compass that comes with my swag, and it's very hard to read the inscription inside here on camera, but you get a real compass, and I'm sorry for the little dots and stuff because things, like I said, with the color in my green screen, but there's an inscription from My Compass inside the compass. So every time you feel lost, dark, deep depression, and you really need to find your way, that's the compass to have right there, and it glows in the dark. All right, so let's just get to Shattered Glass. I absolutely loved writing this book. It's so far my favorite. I put so much heart and energy into it. I dedicated it in memory to some friends that passed away due to depression and drug abuse and suicide, and lost their fight with alcoholism and so on and so forth. So I really put a lot into it. So anyways, I'd like to share with you my compass. I have endured a lot of darkness in my life. I never thought I could find the light. But while in the darkness, I built a compass of light, one that would navigate me in the darkest of nights. First, I added the demons. I knew they were to the left of me. Then the hell and deceit to the right. Behind me was the darkness I turned my back upon. And in front of me was the glimmer of light, true light, 11 degrees to the left of the light, 16 degrees away from my soul. With this compass, I can get back to the light. I know I can find my way, but I need a map, one without roads, yet rocky paths, so I can find my way and make my own memorable footpath. I want to actually share with you a spoken word one. My spoken word poetry really dives deep into some really deep, dark thoughts. So I want to read to you Group Session. It's actually one of my favorites of the book because everybody knows, when you're suffering from depression, anxiety, and you end up going to group, whether you want to share or don't want to share, sometimes it's what gets you through. So this one here is called Group Session. I get nervous all of the time. I can't even explain to you why. Most of the time, I don't even know who I am. I look at myself in the mirror and tell myself, get with the program. The thoughts I have seem to always get out of hand. Most people just don't understand. I hate my reality. I had plans as a kid, what I wanted to be. I thought I had a handle on my mind, but I didn't. I was blind. It was masked by my pride. Every waking moment is filled with dread. I think about it and realize that sometimes I just want to be dead. There was a time when I tried. I picked up a loaded gun, but before I could pull the trigger, I realized that Satan would have won. Every waking hour, depression knocks at my door. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm tired of this torture, living in horror. Images ingrained into my eyes, hearing their cries, but the screams I hear, I agonize. I start with anxiety, the depression attacks me. I wake up so stressed out, believing I am a sellout. I can't handle the pain. It's like being hit by a train, waking up feeling afraid. I shouldn't feel that way, I was a soldier, but I'm being weighted down with boulders, set on fire to smolder. Living my life that way isn't even kosher, yet people tell me every day that if I keep going, I will be okay. But it's not okay to be like this. I keep taking the hits in sad remiss, facing the demons like a gutless coward, left to submit overpowered. Just when I want to submit and tap out, there's someone there trying to hold me up, telling me not to give in to the sin. They tell me to turn to Jesus. All I want to do is ask, and he frees us. But I don't want to be saved. With all I've done, I couldn't be loved by the Father or the Son. So get off my back. I've taken my Prozac. Give me a week, and I'll be back. Have a great time, and thank you for letting me share Shattered Glass with all of you.
Isa McLaren. I'm here to tell you about my book, A Kiss for Luck. When Connie Monroe gets a sudden inheritance, she takes her dream vacation to Italy. On a whim, she kisses a stranger on the famous Ponte Vecchio. When her toes uncurl, she finds herself in a whirlwind fling. Jules Brand is down on his luck. A con job gone wrong led to a murder with him as the prime suspect. He returns to his good luck city, Florence, to turn things around. When Connie asks him for a kiss, he knows his luck has changed. But luck is a capricious mistress, and Hagen Gear is bent on revenge. When Brand's past catches up to him, Connie is caught in the crossfire. She must rely on the charming con artist to get her out of it. She wouldn't trust him with her purse, but what about her life? Reese Cooper slid into the booth opposite Jules Brand and signaled for more drinks. "You look like hell," he said. "So do you, but that's nothing new." Jules Brand ran his hand through his hair and shot his cuffs. He was going to have to get a better concealer if Reese noticed his lack of sleep. Been a rough couple of days. Weeks, actually. Months. He blew air out his cheeks and sat back as his drink arrived. "Thought this place was your lucky charm." Brand touched his pendant. "It is. I found a mark." Cooper brightened considerably and lifted his drink. "Go on then, don't keep me in suspense." American tourist, newly divorced, from the way she's tossing money around and picking up men. Brand scowled and shook his head to clear it. The last thing he needed was worry wrinkles. Cooper grinned. "I'm guessing from your mood that you are not one of these men." He clucked his tongue. "It happens to us all eventually." Tossed aside for younger models. Brand shot him a dark look. "I'm 27. At least that's what his passport said. The loud guffaw rang across the nearly empty bar. "Sorry, mate, but if you're 27, I'm the Queen of Sheba." "It's been a rough week," Brand pouted. He took a sip and pushed his glass away. Alcohol wasn't the answer. "Look, do you want to hear the plan or not?" Rich divorcee, wants excitement. Cooper rubbed his chin, rough fingers scraping across stubble. "I've got it. Americans love horses. We're running the Ascot gambit." A flicker of a smile crossed Brand's face. "Not bad, but I've got something bigger in mind." Cooper tilted his head. It wasn't fair making him think like this. He was the best fixer in the business, but he was no mastermind. "Tell me it's not a runway scheme. I hate playing the fop photographer." The smile took hold. Bigger. "Right, mate, I'm stumped. We're doing The Lost Heir." Brand gave his head a toss, banishing the last of his foul mood. Cooper sat back, brow furrowed in well-etched lines. "Don't follow, mate. You're going to have to spell it out for me." Brand spelled it out in plain English. It was his most ambitious plan yet, and all it needed was for his luck to shift. No need to tell that part to Cooper, though. That man was superstitious. You can find A Kiss for Luck at threefuriespress.com. You can find me on Twitter at IW McLaren and my blog, authorisamclaren.com. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I am here with this month's review. So this month I reviewed A Kiss for Luck, which is a new crime novel by Isa McLaren. For a bit more about it, here's the blurb. When Connie Monroe gets a sudden inheritance, she takes her dream vacation to Italy. On a whim, she kisses a stranger on the famous Ponte Vecchio. When her toes uncurl, she finds herself in a whirlwind fling. Jules Brand is down on his luck. A con job gone wrong led to a murder, with him as the prime suspect. He returns to his good luck city, Florence, to turn things around. When Connie asks him for a kiss, he knows his luck has changed. But luck is a capricious mistress, and Hagen Geyer is bent on revenge. When Brand's past catches up to him, Connie is caught in the crossfire. She must rely on the charming con artist to get her out of it. She wouldn't trust him with her purse, but what about her life? So the word that comes to mind when I read this novel is definitely that it is so charming. And I mean that in the best way possible. It's a little lighthearted and a lot of fun, but that doesn't mean it wasn't exciting. I was still reading it quickly to find out what happened next. And that was for the whole novel, not just the end. Like a lot of novels, it gets exciting only at the end when the climax is coming. But this one had me reading through the whole thing to find out what was happening. The pacing was really great in this book, and the ending was a page-turner. I just had to know how things ended and how the characters would manage to pull things off and get away. This is also a good-sized book at around 100,000 words. It isn't so big it's intimidating or that you have to slog through it, but it is enough to satisfy you if you're looking for a good, sturdy read. I feel like lately I've been reading some shorter books, which is great for a quick weekend read, but it was nice to have a longer story for a change. I really love the characters in this tale as well. Connie goes on her dream trip and transforms into Stanzi and can be anyone she wishes. But she didn't turn into a bad person or someone haughty or annoying. Rather, she was empowered, and just like the rest of the book, she was charming. I loved watching her transformation, and I loved following along in her adventures. The other main character is a charming rascal. Jules Brand is a con man down on his luck until he runs into Stanzi. He seemingly turns things around with his new mark and makes sure to follow all the rules, which you can learn about all the rules by reading this book, but his past catches up to him. He's one of those characters that you fall in love with even though he has questionable morals, and he really is a wonderful character. Overall, this is a great read and a wonderful debut novel for Isa McLaren. I would definitely recommend checking it out, even if you're not usually a crime fiction reader like me. It's a great story that happens to involve a heist or two, but you won't regret reading it. So that's my review. Have a great one. Thank you.
What's one thing your significant other asks you to do that you can't say no to, that even though you want to? You can think about it for a second.
Well, I don't have a significant other. But Paul's available. There you go. Hey. I'm all about the yes.
Yeah, I'll answer that question. I mean, I've been married for going on 15 years now, and what's one thing I can't say no to with what my wife asked me to do? Man, that's a tough question. I mean, there's a lot of things I can't say no to that she asked me to do, but one thing in particular, man, yeah, I know. I would say anything that she asked me to do, I can't say no to. How's that? right?
That's
I
the
mean,
right answer.
right? Yeah. Really, I mean, after thinking about it, it's anything that she asked me to do. I cannot say no to my wife. How's that for you? Oh, there you go.
Is it because you did say no, Paul? That
I was going to say that, well, I'm divorced, so maybe that was the problem. I said no. So yeah, it's yeah. But I think that idea. I want to hear from people too. What they would say. I'd be really interested in hearing that answer from a variety of people. And I'd be into hearing if they even decide to play the game. In a safe way. But yeah, I think that would be amazing. You want to add?
Well, yeah, just kind of on a more serious note, I think that's the big thing about our movie is just, I mean, the title of the movie is You Can't Say No, and obviously it's about a game that this couple plays. But I think the big thing is, I think what you can't say no is about is communication. And that was a big part of what our movie was about, is just how couples communicate with each other. It's not about daring people to do something that they would say no to in any normal situation. There isn't anything in our movie I don't think that comes across as something that would be questionable. I guess there are a couple things, but I think in general, really, it's about communication. It's about how couples communicate with each other. And I think when you're craving something or you want something that your partner to do with you, that's a big part of it. And
it's about being honest and open.
It's about being honest, open, how you communicate with each other. You can be in a marriage for a long time or a relationship for a long time, and you're still figuring out how to communicate with each other. And I think as the years go by, if you have kids or relationships change. Paul mentioned this earlier. Relationships are constantly changing. That's really what our movie is about, is how things change and how you can lose that communication. So, being honest with each other. If you want something from a relationship, there's ways of asking to get what you need, and that's really what our movie is about. That's what You Can't Say No really means in a relationship, I think.
Hey everyone, this is Okubo here, and today I'm going to be talking about a film called Visitor Q. So with Visitor Q, we're looking into the Japanese genre of films, right? And there's a movie called Audition, which if you haven't seen Audition, you won't understand the uniqueness of Japanese films such as this one. So Visitor Q is a stranger befriends a family comprising of a sexual deviant father, an abused mother, a bullied son, and a daughter who prostitutes herself. And it's a very unique story. It's told in a very, I would say, exploitation style, cruel, violent style film. So you're looking at that kind of genre.
Ogari. おかわり。ありがとう。
なんでなんで洗えんだ。
私の知り合いだ。しばらくこの家に住むことになりますから。続けなよ。俺のこと無視してていいから。遠慮するなよ。 やれよ。
なんで CM が入ってんだよ。ビデオの前にさ、お父さんが言ったら。してんだよ、パパ。ごめんなさい。
じゃあ私先に寝ますから。おやすみなさい。おやすみなさい。
ここちゃんとやりますから。うっせ。痛い。ごめんなさい。顔をやめてください。なんだその顔よ。顔だけはやめて。うっせ。顔だけはやめて。
チータン動物園で生まれたアライグマの赤ちゃんに名前がつきました。ヘレンちゃんです。チータン動物園でアライグマの赤ちゃんが生まれるのは初めてです。
氷もらえます？
園内の新しいアイドルとして
可愛いですね。ちょっとでいいんで。では最初のニュースです。
先日の懇談会での高木総理大臣の問題発言をめぐって与野党各議員の間で激論が交わされています。野党が揃って反発する中、与党議員の中でも
It is an indie film. It was made for 7 million yen, which is $70,000. That's it. I don't know the price of how much it brought in. It's not stated, but it does have a pretty decent rating on IMDb. The main actor playing the stranger, playing the visitor. His name is Kazushi Watanabe. It's a good actor. He plays it very, very well. It has some pretty decent named actors in this film. The one that I would recommend, and the point of view that I would recommend when you see this film, is to see the subtext of the story. This is a family film, but it's not a film you should watch with your family, especially not with younger children. This film, it does have subtitles, and it's hard to find. It's a 2001 film, and it is hard to find because it is one of those Japanese exploitation style films which have a really deep cult following. So I really recommend this film. Please check it out. It is a gritty, down-to-earth style film, and you can actually enjoy a lot of it. And if you see the subtext of the film, you will be able to see that it is a family film. It's about recovering your family, standing by each other, and building on the relationships of what a family is. All right, this is Okubo. You guys have a good one. Thank you.
And now enjoy the exclusive premiere of Turbo Widget's Simple, right here on GoIndieNow.
Don't make things complicated. All I need is a gypsy woman and a place to lay my head. I don't need to be rich and famous. It's too much trouble, too much sacrifice. Said I don't need that in my life, 'cause I'm a simple man with a simple plan. I just want to live free, and the simple plan is try to be a good man for those who look to me. Be recognized, just working on my 9 to 5. Said I don't need the Nobel Prize. I don't need to be socialite. Too damn old for the party life. Oh, and besides it hurts my eyes, 'cause I'm a simple man with a simple plan. I just want to live complicated. All I need is a gypsy woman and a place to lay my head. And a simple plan is trying to be a good man for those who look to me.
Hi, I'm David Black. I'm an actor and a filmmaker from Melbourne, Australia. And I'd just like to thank GoIndieNow for having me as the featured filmmaker. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, oh, Australia, that's the land where everything is trying to kill you. But I promise you, it's mainly just full of cute, furry bush animals.
Jeez, that was a fantastic night, Zia.
I am so buggered. Can't wait to get into bed.
Oh, now you are talking my language. Oh, come on. I mean, it's been a long night. Or what? I mean, I'm tired. I want to go to bed. What?
Wake up! Wake up!
Oh, I found them like that.
More lies. You can't fool me, psycho. Now, let's try again, shall we? You recognise her?
Sarah! Sarah.
Yeah, it's all coming back to you now, isn't it? Huh?
I didn't.
Yeah, you. Give her a chance. I know.
Why? Why would I do something like that?
Why? Who knows how you sickos think? Maybe she reminded you of someone. Maybe your mother.
Welcome to Horror House. I am Count von Hula, and this is Mistress Buena.
Beautiful, but we don't. You asked a question. Everybody's got an opinion on marginalisation and everybody has a right to express it, and we've now got the tools. Trying to pull my phone out of the pocket, but people have actually used an iPhone, and this one's an old one. It's an iPhone 4. You can film in HD, it can go up on the cinema, you can actually use free software online to edit. And it might not be the greatest movie under the sun, but you can bung out a professional one that can go up there. But the truth is most people are going to use YouTube. They're going to look at it on a tiny little screen. So do we need it? No, but it's beautiful to watch a cinema. If we're looking at what we can all do, because it's one thing to talk, why not write a script? You just start writing in Word. I wrote 20 in the last 4 weeks, and they're all in pre-production. They're only 3-page scripts, or 5 pages. But I'd be sitting on the tram and I'd see a lane, and I'd go, oh, I wonder what would happen if there was a superhero in the lane. And what if he was geriatric? Oh, what if he catches his old nemesis and they have a fight and the guy has a heart attack and now he's lost his sense of purpose? You might think I'm rambling, but that's script. You've got an idea with marginalisation. Just think, write, work out how am I going to film it, get 2-3 friends together, film it, upload it. You can use free software and you can get your message out. It doesn't have to go to the cinema.
Oh, hello. Shows were done already? Wow, that was a quick one. Hello, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our show. That is our show for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. And please, like I mentioned earlier, like and comment. Let us know what you're enjoying. If you got this far into the show, I'd love to know why you stayed and what got you to here. And thank you so much for doing so. And I really, really appreciate each and every one of you, no matter if you're watching for 5 minutes or all 90 of what we're putting out there. We really appreciate it. And hey, if you're brand new here and you've just stumbled upon our show or you've just watched us casually in the past, you know that we're putting out a lot of content. You can see it right on our homepage there on the YouTube channel. And not only that, but you go to our website. We have our Facebook Watch page that we put out a weekly show on, and we are putting out all of our interviews now on Instagram. That is the big change that we've made. So IGTV will host most of our one-on-one interviews when we're out there, out and about talking to people and enjoying coverage of festivals and being able to do that for you. We will have all of that from here on out, joining us on the Instagram channel over there on our IGTV. And check us out, and please, like I said, subscribe if you've enjoyed what you're looking at, and it's the best way to be notified of what's coming next. We have great shows. We have the Origins show, which is in the middle of its first season. We have the Fandom Forum show, which is wrapping up its first season, and then we have a brand new show coming up called Genre that's going to be starting its first season here pretty soon, and much, much more to come. We have Joe's Bar Live that happens as much as we can. We try to do it once a month. So come and join us for that. It's a live show that we do right here on our YouTube channel. And like I said, like and comment here in this video. We'd love to know everything that you enjoyed. And if you have questions for us, like I said, if you want to answer the question behind me, please feel free to do so in the comments section below. And check out everybody who's contributed to this show, not just all the art that we've put out there for you to check out, but all the artists and contributors as well. Check what they're doing, because they're doing so much more than just what we're featuring here. And what we're featuring here is stuff that you can check out and enjoy, and it's the only way to really do so is to go and click on it and check it out. So go and do that, and really thank you so much. And as you know, it's always time to go indie now. And we'll see you again next time. All right, everybody, take care.